Hello, hello, hello. Let's check that we're live. We're live from New York. It's Saturday night. Check that we got audio. Okay, we got some kind of audio. That's...
Hello. This should be better. And this should be better. There we go. So now, should be able to do that. Now let's check the audio quality. So now, okay, cool. Can close the preview. So, some pretty major developments. We recently built the card game Collapsi by a YouTuber named Riffle Shuffle and Roll. And so I reached out to that YouTuber saying, hey, I built your game in Minecraft. And the person asked me to make a video about Collapsi. So what I would like to do is, ideally what I would like to do is play this game with viewers. And then we can stitch some clips together from the, we can stitch some clips from this live stream into a video, send it over to the guy and go, hey, Collapsi in Minecraft. Just an idea. So this is where the fact that I do mostly live streams now and not too many videos, that's definitely coming back to bite me a little bit. Although I did recently post a video about building, well, about the Ticket to Ride Minesweeper. So presumably you might have seen that. Who knows? Anyways, let's turn on some Approaching Nirvana. Because today, until somebody comes around to play Collapsi, and if nobody comes around, then I can just record me playing it with myself, just because it is a one-player game. You can play it with one player or up to 4. So that's that. Let's turn on Not Even Once. Okay, because today we're going to be doing some pretty serious programming until somebody comes around. Yeah, so this map right here is for the board game Pandemic. This is going to be one of those big projects. I can already feel it. It's a big project. But it's going to be good because Pandemic is one of my personal favorite games of all time. It's mostly because there is zero competitiveness with Pandemic. Like, you literally could not be competitive if you tried. Or if you did try, you lose. Like, there's no, you have to collaborate or you die with this game. And I love that because I hate competition. I hate competing with people. So having a game that like forces everybody to collaborate, chef's kiss right there. So Pandemic is played on a world map, and would you look at that? The world map has New Zealand. What a freaking concept. The world map is not missing New Zealand. Wow. Who would have thunk? Okay. Oh, I added I was doing some playing around, and this is an attempt to make some, so there's going to be all sorts of information from the game being broadcasted on the walls of the arena room. So that's information like status of each disease, maybe include numbers for each one, instructions for how to play, or during your turn, the infection rate, the outbreak, the number of outbreaks. I'm thinking doing the outbreaks as like a DEFCON kind of system. So, and they're all gonna look like this. So they kind of look like computer monitors that are like scattered around the room inside this like whatever planning government office thingy. I don't know, just a concept. So, since this is the start of the game, we need to do some planning. And that means bringing out our dripstone blocks, also known as the cork boards, and planning out how this game is going to work. Because this is one of those multi-phase games. So, it's not going to be quite as complicated as Risk, I don't think. But we do need to I think having banners is still going to be a useful thing to have. So, there's a handful of distinct things going on here with this game. Okay. So this is the start of the game. So, how do we start the game? So, let's open... Do you have that open? Yes, we do. Okay, so I have the PDF of the rules right here. And I actually had it open to the different roles. Because this is something... Roles are something that's relatively new to the Card Game Hub, the Tabletop Gaming Hub, and as such, we need to really consider how this is going to work. So there's 7 different roles, so let's make this 4, 5, 6, 7 high. And we're going to list out how we're going to do each one. So these are the different roles. So the roles are Contingency Planner, we have Dispatcher, we have Medic, we have Operations Expert, we have Quarantine Specialist, we have Researcher, and we have Scientist. Okay. So from here, what we need to do is... So those are the different roles that we need to be able to account for each of these different roles. Because each of these roles are going to modify some things about how the game is played for each of the players involved. In fact, it'll modify things pretty significantly. So, to that end, we need to have move this right here, and we need to have a thing for the actual game actions. So these are the different game actions that a player can make. And there's a whole lot of options. Okay, let's try to scroll up in this PDF and figure out how this works. Okay, here's all the list of options. So, we can move to a connected city. We can discard a city card to teleport there. We can discard the city you're at to teleport anywhere. We can do teleport from a research station to another research station. I will say, in my experience of playing this game, this third option here of teleporting to any city, very rarely used. And that's partly because the other things that you can do mostly because the other things that you can do is much more useful. So these are discard the city card that you're in to build a research station. Okay. There's also treat disease, and if cured, remove all cubes of that color. Okay, so this is where we're going to have to start sectioning things off a little bit, because this, I recently learned, there's a thing to keep track of here. The thing to keep track of is that cities can have multiple colors on them. So cities can have multiple colors at once. You have to choose which ones you want to remove. Okay, so it's not quite as simple. So if the disease is cured, you have to remove all the cubes of that color. If it's not cured, you can only remove one at a time, or it takes one action to remove one at a time. The next thing you can do is so this is where things get interesting. So you can share city cards. And this part's really common. Oh, if you're at a research station, discard 5 city cards of that color to cure the disease. That is important. This is a pretty major action, so in fact we're gonna label this. Well, this is going to be a fairly rare thing to try to do. Okay. And then we also have share knowledge. Now this one is complicated. So this is can give/take city card, the city card you're in, to another player. Okay, so these are the different player actions. Each of these takes one action. Yep, okay. So if you have multiple different diseases in a single city, you have to you have to take up one action to treat each one individually, or each color individually. Okay. So based on this, let's see. Okay. So cities can have multiple colors at once. You have to choose which one you remove. And then share knowledge is going to be kind of complicated. Meanwhile here, okay. So this is where the roles come in. Which things do the roles impact? Okay, so each role, we're going to assign a number to it. Okay, so this is where we're going to label each of these with numbers. We need 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So which of these are actually impacted by that particular action? So contingency planner is able to yoink an event card from anywhere in the player discard pile and place it on the roll card. Only one event can be saved in this way. Okay. Cool. Dispatcher, as an action, move any pawn if its owner agrees to any city containing another pawn, or move another player's pawn as if it were their own. This one's interesting. So that will impact. So which one is dispatcher? Dispatcher is number 2. So what is impacted by the dispatcher? That's gonna change how you move. When you're moving a player's pawn as if for your own, you discard cards from your own hand, and a player discarded for a charter flight must match the city the pawn is moving from. So it's going to impact this, and also impact this. It'll also impact this, because presumably you could teleport to another research station. And then this also impacts... yeah, okay. And then this one's exclusive to the dispatcher, which is teleport to another player. This is dispatcher only. Exclusive to the dispatcher. Okay, so number 2 will impact all of these. Okay, cool. Next, the medic. The medic is going to impact these ones. Treating the disease and yeah, just treating the disease. Very, very powerful. So yeah, that's a pretty... Medic's a pretty powerful card. My personal favorite. Okay. Although there's really no such thing as a weak card necessarily. Like, if you actually know what you're doing, there's no such thing as a weak role. Except maybe researcher. But yeah, that's about the closest you get to a weak one. So operations expert can build a research city without discarding a city card. So basically they can just plop research stations wherever they want, or teleport from a research station to any city by discarding a city card. Or just discarding any city card. So that is for number 4, the operations expert. So that impacts this one. And it also impacts the that's a new movement type, so we're going to include that here, and that is TP teleport from a research station to any city discarding any card. Okay, let's rephrase this. Discard any city card to teleport from a research station. And this is exclusive to the operations expert. That's a new type of movement, exclusive to number 4 here. Can we stick banners on here? Yes, we can. Cool. Okay. Then we have Quarantine Specialist. That does not actually impact any of the player actions here. Researcher is going to impact the share knowledge here. Because sharing knowledge is an absolute pain without the researcher being there. And then Scientist impacts you. Discovering a cure, where you only need 4 city cards of that disease color in order to discover a cure for that disease. I guess Researcher and Scientist are kind of the only 2 ones that could be considered kind of weak. But again, really, there's no such thing as a weak roll. Which is really cool. I like that. Because these rolls, I'm going to scramble them randomly. They're going to be assigned randomly at the start of each turn. At the start of the game. Okay. And people are just going to have to figure out... People are just going to have to communicate what their rules are. Okay. I'm going to do this just to make things more beautiful. So there's a bunch of modifiers for each of the roles here. So these are for player actions. And then over here we have the game actions. And this is sort of a to-do list for game actions. So that's going to be infecting cities. You gotta figure out how to do that. This is going to be impacted by the quarantine specialist. And also outbreaks. Also impacted by the quarantine specialist. Oop. We then also have epidemic cards. That's important. Okay. Then we have contingency planner here. So this is where we have these special event cards. I'm going to need a list of special event cards. And this is going to be impacted by contingency planner. Okay, maybe contingency planner is also not that good either. I mean, very handy at times, but kind of like when the contingency planner is needed, they really shine. But it's not very often that they're actually needed. Yeah, dispatch is probably dispatch is a pretty big deal because you're basically taking control of someone else's pieces and moving them to where they need to be. Which dispatcher plus quarantine specialist, oh boy, that is a power couple and a half. And also, once a disease is cured, like dispatcher can just move the medic around just like a vacuum cleaner and just go and eradicate things pretty quick, which is pretty awesome. So as y'all know, my philosophy with building these games is that whenever I'm building a game, I want to make sure that it is an improvement over what's currently available. So for those purposes, we have a few different settings. We have normal versus hard mode. I'll talk about what hard mode means. We have one of the rules here is that if you run out of player cards, then you automatically lose. You can switch it to this in order to not have that happen. So this is in a way making things a little bit easier, or at least not putting things on a time limit quite as much. And then you also have two different win conditions. Win when everything is cured versus win when everything is eradicated. Now this is the game mode that I play on. This is one that I really like to play on, because like that's nice that you cure the disease, but like people are still diseased. Like you could still lose even when everything's cured. Mr. Traffic Cone, hello. I don't believe we have met. Good to see you. Would you like to play some games? I'm currently planning out the next big game that I'm going to be building over the next several weeks / months, which is the board game Pandemic. I love this game. It's my favorite game of all time. So, yeah. Okay. So for game things, we need to figure out infecting cities and outbreaks. We need to figure out epidemic cards, special event cards. And then we also need to, so that means over here we need to figure out the infection rate. And then okay, so I'm also going to introduce a somewhat customized hard mode, which contains the following things. First of all, there's going to be a fifth disease, pink disease, which can be placed at any city. I remember seeing this on like on one of those variant boxes, and I thought that was a really cool idea. So I'm implementing that as a hard mode. Unlimited epidemics with an unlimited infection rate, and it'll go up for every 2 increases in rate. So basically, epidemics don't get discarded. They get shuffled back into the player draw pile. Speaking of epidemics, if you draw an epidemic card, you replace that card. So you could potentially have multiple epidemics. You potentially have more than 2 epidemics at once. So on the one hand, it kind of makes things easier, but on the other hand, it also makes things much harder. Like, much harder. Potentially. There's a chance. So, that's the hard mode. And I also have some settings there, and I also got to figure out how to do outbreaks and COVID diseases. So, that is the main theme here, which then brings us to how do you start the game. So then we gotta set the player's difficulty, the game's difficulty level, which depends exclusively on how many epidemic cards that you do. So this is tricky. Because I'm tempted to just have 6 epidemic cards just always there, regardless. And because the hard mode is already going to have the recycling epidemics, which makes things even more difficult. So and it does a special thing there. We're not doing that. We're going to do the thing where yeah, we're just gonna shuffle those in randomly. So this one is shuffle in 6 epic. So we need to figure out player cards. Okay, so we need to figure out player cards. We need to figure out the infection cards. And then we need to do So then, after the player is done infecting cities, the player on their left goes next. Players should freely give each other advice, let everyone offer opinions and ideas. The player whose turn it is what decides what to do. Your hand can have city and event cards in it. Oh, okay. City cards are used in some actions, and event cards can be played at any time, including when it's not your turn. Which is so cool. Okay. Okay, so for this one, actually, flipping the cards is an important aspect of the gaming experience, because epidemic cards are going to like reshuffle the cards back in, which is actually a new mechanic that we need to figure out how to do. So, on this list of things to figure out is shuffle the discarded of the infection deck back to the top of draw infections. Shuffle the discards of the infection deck and put it back on top of the draw. This is something that has not been done in any of the games that we've built. So we're gonna need to figure out how to do that. So we need to figure out player cards, we need to figure out infection cards, and then we need to do so we have the start of the game, and also general things. So we need to do the card decks. We need to do randomly assign roles. We need to do... We're just listing out all the things that we need to do, and we'll be doing them as we do some programming. We're going to be filling out all the different things, and we're going to check them off our to-do list. So we need to randomly assign roles. We need to... So we also need to consider what exactly we're displaying. So we need to display instructions, the play instructions. We need to do how on earth are we going to choose our game actions? We need to figure that out. I'm considering using dialogue displays. The problem with those is they pause the game. So I'm almost considering giving someone a written book where they click the text to choose the thing. I don't know. I feel like that'd be a reasonable thing to do. Because then also we can modify that book based on what you're allowed to do. So if you happen to be in a city where you also have that city's card, then you then gain the option to place a research station there, or you get the option to teleport to any city that you want. Things like that. I feel like that's an important thing to do. So that's choosing game actions. Then we need to have display the infection rates. We then also need to display the outbreaks. So I'm thinking using like a sort of DEFCON system. Like, the whole point is that like 8 outbreaks and you lose. Just flat out lose. But yeah. So let's see if we can figure out some kind of DEFCON system there. And then we also want to display the disease status. So number of each one, and then cured versus eradicated. So those are the start of the game things, and also just general things that we need to figure out. What else? And then we gotta randomly assign somebody to start the game. That's pretty standard. I find it funny how a lot of these games have like quirky ways to figure out who goes first, but like it's just different ways to do random. Like, I appreciate that sometimes it's themed to the game. Like, for example, highest city population goes first. Like, that makes sense because you're like immersed in this world of where you're trying to stop disease. Or like Risk, where the most everybody rolls an attack die, and whoever rolls the highest goes first. Like, presumably it's like someone who's like the most aggressive. Though some other games kind of do a silly thing where like they go, whoever's youngest goes first, or whoever has been in Russia the earliest goes first. It's like, I don't know. It's just different ways to do random. And so I'm just gonna cut out the middle. Come on, cut out the middle woman there. Cut out the middle man, and just assign random. Okay. So then we have the player deck, we have the player discard pile, we got the infection discard pile. Oh, we also need to have, see, this is where things get really interesting, because another bit of tech that we have to figure out. So these are things to figure out. We need to figure out how to reshuffle the discards onto the top of the draw pile. We also need to figure out how to let player rummage through the discard and get a card from there. Because I believe it's the contingency planner. Yep. Contingency planner is able to do that. So let's also label this with A1. That's one of the relevant abilities. Okay. So we're going to label this as new things to figure out. All these other things, like, these are things that had already taken place in other games, and so presumably it shouldn't be that, like, it'll just be very involved, but it's not going to be, like, difficult to figure out how to do. Okay. So just for the sake of it, banners like this, just so that they're actually, like, readable. There we go. Okay. Okay, cool. So we have the list of all the different ways to modify the game, including the custom modifications and the the different ways to custom modify, and also the different ways that the roles themselves actually modify how the game is played. So I'm actually gonna stick this roles over here. The roles were the thing that I was really kind of, I guess, nervous about. Just because that's also something that's never happened in any previous game, is having distinct roles that modify how the game is played so significantly. In fact, I don't think any of the previous... I guess the closest we have is Risk with secret missions. Because, yes, I did build Risk. And with Risk, you can have like different win conditions depending on the player. Like, depending on what secret mission you draw, you could win depending on what mission you actually accomplish. And I guess Risk also, well, specifically Castle Risk, also had all the different things with like the generals and the marshals, where you can change the dice rolls and all sorts of stuff like that. So actually, rolls are really nothing new. Okay, cool. So, oh, and we also need to figure out how to do... We also need to figure out how to do player moves as the other player. Because this is one of the defining features of the dispatcher. Okay. Cool. So, we got some new things to figure out. We've got start of the game things, and also just general things to worry about. We've got a list of roles that could modify how things are done. We have the different player actions, which have modifiers sprinkled all over the place with this one. We then have just general game actions that are not player specific. So this is different from a player doing stuff. This is the game doing stuff, which is kind of interesting. That's one reason I love this game so much, because it's very like, it's everybody versus the game, and the game is like a separate entity that everybody has to work together to battle. Like, you can't compete, because if you try to compete, everybody loses. Like, it's wonderful. It's the best thing ever. Because you can talk about each other's cards, you can share each other's cards, you can share resources, and try to figure out how to do stuff. Very cool. So here's a thing that I'm not 100% sure about. Share knowledge. Giving/taking the city card that you're in to another player. See, the thing is, this is where things get tricky. And it's specifically about the fact that this is taking place in Minecraft. So, the way that it's supposed to work, you have your city cards, and you can give or take those city cards to another player, as long as both players are in the same city that is on the card. Unless you are a researcher. Let's go down to the rules here. In which case, you can share any city card to another player, but it doesn't have to match the city that you're currently in. But the transfer must be from your hand to the other player's hand. though it could occur on either player's turn. So basically, in either case, the research, essentially everything has to go to or from the researcher. That's the only player who can do that ability. And the problem is, with this ability here, how do you stop a player from just going, here, have this? Like, that's... I don't know. How do you do that? I can think of a handful of ways to do this. Like, one thing you could do is tag the player's card as belonging to that player, and then you can probably do some kind of dark magic sorcery to make it so that only that player can actually pick up the card. Or presumably you could do you could, like, if they try to throw it out of their inventory, it's immediately given back to them. Also an option. So that's a possibility. Another possibility, which kind of comes at the risk of potentially making the researcher role completely useless, and that is to just do nothing. Like, make it a gentleman's rule thing. To be fair, I already have a bunch of gentleman's rules sorts of things that, like, you just kind of agree to do because there's not really a way for me to stop you. Like, classic example is Chinese poker, where once you place your cards into the board, you're not supposed to move those cards. I have no way to stop you from doing that if you tried to, but you're not supposed to. So with cases like that, this is where things get tricky, because it's where we have to balance idiot-proofing versus following, like, do we follow the game rules exactly at the risk of making a simple process more complicated, or do you just not bother policing that behavior and just hope that people behave themselves? And see, in this matter, where there's a very, like, okay, disabling the offhand is already kind of a pain to do, but that's something I did because it legitimately actually does break things. Like, it actually does cause some pretty serious problems with the actual game mechanics if you attempt to do that. If you allow for the offhand to exist. Same with crafting. Like, even though crafting recipes are disabled, you could still have problems where, like, people try to store stuff in their crafting grids and they're not supposed to do that. And the problem with people storing stuff in their crafting grids is that those cards then don't count towards being in your inventory. And that's a problem, because if you're trying to, if I have a piece of code here that says, does this player have this card in their inventories? Then if it's in their crafting grid, that code will say no, which is bad. Potentially game breaking, kind of bad. So that is why I turned off the offhand. But turning off the offhand is relatively simple, because literally all I do is, if you attempt to place anything in the offhand, it just immediately pops back onto your cursor. So functionally it turns off the offhand, and I also remove the texture. Like, if you go into adventure mode like this, you don't even see the option here. Now, I can't do anything if you try to do this. I'm not on the server, so I don't have that thing activated at the moment. But, like, I can't stop you from doing that. But if you attempt to, it'll immediately yoink it back into the cursor, so it's functionally like those slots are functionally speaking disabled. Now that's a problem. Now, one problem that I'd always kind of run into with the offhand disabling is the F key. If you push F, it immediately swaps to the offhand, and you don't have the opportunity to stick it to your cursor. Although, the thing with this is that I do that anyway, just because, and in which case you'll have to go into your inventory and probably put it back into your inventory. So that makes it slightly more complicated. But the reason why that worked is because it's still contained within the player, within that player's inventory. So like, even if it's in the offhand or in the crafting grid or whatever, it's still local to the player. The second it leaves the player's view, like, it is much, much harder to get that back. Like, yeah. So, we gotta somehow, like, what's up, Fluffy Neek? Good to see ya. We're currently planning out the game Pandemic. But yeah, with this researcher role here, the whole point is that, so Fluffy Neek, to catch you up, one of the player actions that you can take in Pandemic, this is what the board looks like, by the way. One of the actions you can take is that if you are in the same city as another person, so first off, everybody's given cards that have the city name printed on it. And if you're in the city that's listed on your card, you can give that card to another player. So it's extremely restrictive. Both players have to be in the city that's listed on the particular card. Then you're able to exchange or give or take that card to whoever. Now, there's a role, of course, there's roles in Pandemic. One of the roles which is Researcher, allows you to just share the same city, and you don't have to pass just that one city card to each other. You can pass any card to each other, as long as it goes to or from the Researcher. Now this is a problem, because in Minecraft, there's a very easy way to give someone a thing that you're holding, which is to push Q. Bam. And this is a game problem. This is a game design problem, because if I try to police that behavior, if I try to go, no, you can't drop that item, or you can't give that item to another person, well, that's not going to work very well, because, well, it's just going to be very, very difficult to try to do. I probably could, but the question just becomes, is it worth the effort? Is it worth trying to police that behavior? Which would come with the risk of doing that is that it would be very difficult to it would make the act of sharing cards or dropping cards very difficult. So do I attempt to do that? Or do I simply give the person this role of Researcher, so basically I do nothing to police that behavior. I have it as just a gentleman's rule that you have, like, just behave here, don't go sharing cards that you're not supposed to. In which case the Researcher role would simply be just a label and indicative of nothing. Because with that, in theory, the way somebody could play the game is just you can share whatever city codes that you want with each other and not bother with any of it. Which, I mean, because you could just and just have people push Q at each other and just drop cards to each other. So it's a game design question. Do we attempt to police that behavior? I'm leaning on no. on, it is not worth it. It's not worth the pain. It's not worth the effort. And also, if somebody wants to play with the ability to share whatever cards they want whenever they want to, that's their own choice. That could be treated as another setting. But I'm just not going to officially endorse that as a setting. 4 viewers. Holy smokes. Hello. Good to see you all. Please comment. Like, let me know you're here. Dang. And Mr. Traffic Cone, I believe we have not met before. Fluffy Nika, know you in the chat. So, good to see y'all. Oh, and we're back to 3 viewers. Oh, okay. So, I would like y'all to respond. I would like y'all's feedback. Everybody in the chat, let me know. Should I attempt to stop somebody from just dropping items? Now, do note I'm going to do whatever I want anyway, but I want feedback anyway, because it'll be helpful. It'll be helpful to figure out what we're doing. This is just a thing you can do whenever you please. Which, to be fair, is also something that is a thing with like just a real-life card game. Like, you could just choose to ignore the rules and do whatever you want. So, already I'm restricting things with the fact that this is in Minecraft. It's just a question with this specific thing. Do we attempt to restrict it? Since nobody's responding in the chat, I'm going to give my verdict, which is no. We will not attempt to stop you from just doing boot. If you want to play with the restrictive rules, you can, but I will do nothing to stop it. So, in that case, and you'd have to keep track of which cards you're sharing anyway. So, like, you'd have to, because it's supposed to yeah, it does sound like more trouble than it's worth. Oh, but there is a problem though. Because it takes an action to share cards like this. So how do we make it count towards the actions? Can we make it a scoreboard? What sort of... Because we have a whole bunch of different criteria. Air, armor, death count, dummy, food, health, killed by team, level, broken, useful. Let's search the Minecraft wiki. Because we have broken every single item, used every single item, and stuff like that. Okay. Let's do scores. Okay. Okay. So we do this get store. Display auto update. I didn't know that was an option. Okay. Okay, criteria. Here we go. So we have dummy, which is changed only by commands. Trigger, which can be changed by commands and not automatically. You have to use the /trigger command to do that. Okay. And the cool part about that is that ordinary players can use the /trigger, even if cheats is disabled. And then death count increments automatically when a player dies. Player kill count when a player kills another player. And total kill count, which is when a player kills another player or a mob. Then we have health, which is the number of half hearts that a player has. Okay. There's XP, which is the amount of XP. Level, which is XP level. Food, air, armor. Then we also have compound criteria. Okay, so we have team kill, killed by team. Do we have a list of those? So that's all the different operations you can do. Wait, what? Swaps the target score and the sources score. What? That's a thing? Wait, what? This will assign the minimum between the two values. This will assign the maximum between two. Why have I never seen this before? This is amazing. And this just swaps. Like, actually just straight up hot swaps. Hold up. This I gotta see. Hold up. Let's add square one. And square two. So let's say I set my own square one to 10. And then I do a standard thing. P-temp. Say I set this one to -50. Just why not? So you're telling me I can do scoreboard players operation. Me, score one. Left to right like that. P-temp. Score two. Okay, what's my score one? -50. With P-temps, score two.
I know you're a monster.
10. Ah! Okay. You're telling me we were able to do swaps this whole time? How long has that been a thing? What? Okay, this is like discovering that the 16 character limit was removed for scoreboards. Like, and this, you could just do maximums and minimums. What? That's amazing. Hold up. Okay. That sets my score 1 to 10. Okay. Set my score 1 back to -50. -50? Actually, I did set it to 50. Because I want to then do minimum.
I know you're a monster.
Okay. Okay, but what does it do to P-temps? Set my score 1 to that. Set the maximum, still 50. What does that do to P-temps score? doesn't change it. Original or pirate? Below J, I have no idea what you're talking about. I guess. Well, are you talking about the music that's currently playing? Because this music was by Approaching Nirvana. I purchased their music, and according to their website, that means I can use it for my videos and live streams. So, if you're not sure, go to the website. Verifies that. Yes, I did my research. Oh, yes, this is a server. Yep. This is this is on Java Edition 1.21.8. So I'm just currently on a single player world because that's where I do all my game building. But let's play some games. Let's check things out. Okay. So, real quick. So to conclude this section on the absolute absurdity that, oh, right, scoreboards. What were we looking for? I was looking for a way to tell how many times you dropped an item. So, teams. Okay, not helpful. How long is that? Okay. Yeah, so 1.18 removed 16 character limits. And then... Dang, okay. What? This has just been a thing this whole time? Update 1.8? Not even double digits? This has been a thing since update 1.8? Holy crap, you gotta be kidding me. Okay. Sure. Oh, wait. You can do stats. Drop item. Can you do stats as objectives? Scoreboard objectives? Oh, that is unfortunate. Okay. So that means... Oh, that sucks. Okay. So that means we will simply have to have a thing where you said that you shared cards with each other. That's the best we can do. So that just means, but that does mean researcher role is complete. And we'll just make a note here. Will not attempt to stop players from pushing Q. And that is how we resolve this. So that then partially resolves this shared knowledge thing. But then we gotta, for sharing knowledge, we just gotta do, player needs to tell so that just means the players need to self-report when they're sharing cards. And of course, they can choose not to, but
I just want to go back.
I don't know, gentlemen's rules. Okay. Okay, so we'll gentlemen's rules. Okay. So, Phantom Toast, what's up? Good to see ya. Hey Phantom Toast, would you like to play a new game? A little game called Collapsi. It's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty simple game, I must say. Okay, so I think we've done enough laying out of our project. Then our next big project is building Pandemic, which is a big world map kind of game. We're gonna have fancy computer screen looking things. We got settings. We've got all sorts of stuff. And this right here is all the things on a gigantic to-do list. We're gonna be working through this a little bit at a time with each live stream. Oh, you just finished making a pizza. You made a pizza? Wow. That's amazing. Okay. Yay. So yeah, let's see. So we've laid out all the things that we need to do. This is just it's going to be a big project, and so we're just going to work on this a little bit at a time, and probably get it done over the next couple months or so. That's the hope. So we've got a nice big project, and it's going to be hopefully really nice because I absolutely love this game of Pandemic. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I think I mentioned that several times already, but it's one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm very happy about that. We get to use all the stuff that we've learned over the months and years of building games. It all comes together, as it always does. Okay, I'm on the server now, so I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and we shall be right back. Alright. Who's available to play some games? Okay, so nobody's on right now. So I do want to show off this new game, Collapsi, because I think it's really cool. Created by Riffle, Shuffle, and Roll. Oh, actually, I want to adjust the complexity score a little bit. Because I think it's more of a complexity low. Okay. So we're going to set this to a complexity... Let's make this complexity low. Because it's fairly low complexity. Okay, so this is Collapsi. So, this is a single player game, by the way. So the way to play is the goal is, so you're going to be moving this marble around, this token around, and the whole point is to be the last player to be able to make a legal move. So on a single player game like this, it's just try to last as long as possible. So the card that you're on will determine how many spaces you must move. So for example, Jack is 1, Ace is 1, 2s are 2s, 3s are 3s, 4s are 4s. And then your moves can loop around across the board. And then the whole reason why this game is called Collapsi is that once you move to another square, I don't know why that didn't work, but once you move to another square, wherever you start from will collapse. So let's say I move to this 3 here. The 2 has now vanished. You cannot pass through or land on that square anymore. So with the 3 here, for example, you can go 1, 2, 3 and land there. You can go 1, 2, 3 and land there, or you can go 1, 2, 3, land there. Although it also let you move here. Okay, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, the point of the game is to try to last as long as you can, at least with the single player version, until you are no longer able to make any legal moves. And then last person to make a legal move wins. However, it appears we need to do some debugging. Okay. Yeah, that's what y'all are here for, right? Just watch me lose my mind with some debugging. That's what makes for entertaining. That's what makes for entertainment. Is watching people lose their minds. I swear this worked last night. Okay. Data packs. Collapsi. Okay, so first of all, why is the first move not doing anything? Okay. So when we move the piece, it's supposed to collapse the square that you're currently on. Okay, so that indicates a problem with the start of the game. So let's take a look at that. Okay, I'm gonna move all these coding things over here. Okay. So placing the jacks is also going to be placing the starting arrangements of things. So that, and then copy paste that for the players, of which there's only 4 players. Now the original Collapsi game is supposed to only be played with 1 or 2 players. In fact, it's only supposed to be played with 2 players. Period. But I decided to. This is a case where it's a brand new game, so I just tried to add as many customization options as possible. Just because. That's just how I do things. Okay. Oh. Okay, master reset. Okay. So first off, let's see. Here equals player token. What do you think your row coordinate is? 3, and your column coordinate is. Why isn't it no column coordinate? Go. That should be that bug fixed. There we go. Reload. Master reset. Register. Begin. Now. Bam. Okay, excellent. Now we need to figure out making the moves that we're supposed to be. So the way that I was storing the moves is directly on this target here. So tag them as move here. Typical item display. So I want item. Okay. So the coordinates that this passes through is 3, 4, that's the start. And then we go to 3, 1, 3, 2, and then 2, 2. Meanwhile, this one here goes to 4, 2. So now the question is, why is it not recognizing, for example, here? Because it should have been. It should be like summoning, there should be a lot more than just 2 spaces to move. So let's see what we can do about that. So let's dig into how we do these legal moves and see if we can figure out how to do this. This is the sort of thing that I probably would have / should have done on Livestream, like building this game, but I didn't think to do that. This was one of those one-day projects. Like I literally started it like yesterday, like at noon, finished at 2 a.m. So it was a quick game to make, and which was kind of surprising considering how many customization options there are. Honestly, I spent most of my time doing this to like typing in how many of each card that you want and making the different custom distributions. Probably could have spent that time doing something else, all things considered. But yeah, like, you know, making a functional game. So let's see. So first of all, we gotta execute as the armor stand where you're starting. So we introduce 2 new scoreboards, distance and max distance. And here, because we're standing on a number 3, that max distance should be 3. Okay. We need to do the thing. Okay, so when we move the piece, actually rotate turn. So when we rotate the turn, that's where we figure out where your legal moves are. Okay. So we're going to tag you as AAAA. And just for the sake of clarity, does this armor stand understand what card it's holding? We want equipment main hand. Yes, it sees it's holding a 3 of clubs, and custom model data is, or custom data is 3s. Excellent. Okay. So now we we execute this command to start. So I need to summon a new item display. Not item display. What is it? Item display. Okay. Okay. So we do boop, which summons at the location now. And then we do sets the row coordinate to 1, sets the column coordinates, sets the row coordinate to 3, should set the column coordinate to 4, yep, that is correct. And then this one's gonna bump up the row coordinate to 4. Then we remove the tag. Then we gotta do that again. This one's going to have the same row and column coordinate, but this time we're going to subtract the row coordinate by 1. And then we do that a third time. And you know what, let's do it a fourth time as well. Now we can just take care of the row and the column coordinate right away. Okay. So then we're going to tag new move, limit equals 1, sort equals random. Actually, no. Tag it in, tag equals new move. We're going to add blah, 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 and we're going to remove 1 from blah, blah, blah. There we go. Remove new move. Okay, and then another one we're going to add so. Okay, and then this one we're going to add 1 to the column coordinate. There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this one should be doing the loop around. Okay, so remove, and then the last one would be and this one we subtract 1 from column coordinates. So that'll attempt to go here. Okay. And then we're going to do... Okay. So now, is there anybody who has not been detagged yet? No, there's not. Excellent. Okay. So now I want to remove A, blah, blah, blah. And cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's that. And now, so, oh, I shouldn't have removed that. Let's back. Pizza's in the oven. Yay! Okay, so AAA is the armor stand. Okay, so we import the row coordinate and column coordinate, which is 3, 4, and then we're going to copy that. There we go. Okay, so what we should do is next step run data get entity at s item dot components dot Minecraft custom data dot chords. Okay, so we have three things that are all saying that this is the starting point, 3, 4. Excellent. Okay, so now we need to do the filtering and the moving out to each subsequent step. Okay, so let's tag move here. This one we can do random. Tag it as blah 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 blah. Okay. So then we do. Hey, Phantom Toast, what's up? How you doing? What up? Okay, so we need to figure out your scoreboard. So you're trying to go to 3, 3. So that is a collapsed square right there. Okay. So first off, first of all, that should not be okay. That's not relevant. And this should not activate. Okay, cool. And looks like Phantom Toast is immediately going to be crashing. So that sucks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you have to deal with that. Okay. So no entity is found, which is good because that is exactly what we want to have happen. Yes. Okay, excellent. So from there, we check the coordinates list. Actually, we already killed off the thing there, so that's not relevant. You know what? Let's just figure out if it actually can do the thing. So tag equals next step, run function, Collapsi, the illegal moves, teleport to the grid. Figure it out. Okay. So it can figure that out. That's good. Okay. But that is of course insufficient because we needed to go a distance of 3. So we set. Yeah, if it works throughout the whole stream, that's yeah, you gotta vote that out. Vote out the imposter. Okay, so that's just the distance to 1, and then with continue, so this is going to be executing as the target from which we move onwards. How very poetic. Okay, so I want to now tag move here, add blah, 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 blah. Cool. So give me item. Okay, so it does identify that we started at 3, 4, we're now moving to 2, 4, to the coordinates 2, 4. From here, we're going to do as at e tag equal blah, 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 run. Okay. We're going to execute as at e tag equals blah, 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 run that. So we set the new row coordinate and the column coordinate to 2, 4. We then import the distance. That's important. Okay. And then we're going to add 1 to the distance. It is now 2. And we're also going to bump up the row to 3. Right, and this is one of the ones that should be deleted. And then we do... Potentially this is where things fall apart. Okay. Data get entity at n table. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it imported the path. Good. Okay. So it does that 4 times. We then import the distance. So we're going to do execute as at e tag equals blah blah blah. Run. Set the distance to 1. Okay. Set it to 2 actually. And then let's see. There should only be 1 of those. Good. Okay. Yep, gotta check the oven. Okay, so then I suspect this is where things are going wrong. So let's check the TP to grid. So it does the torus loop around, like looping around across the edges, as it's supposed to. So we want to tag it as CCCC. And now executing as run. Got the row coordinates. Phantom Toast is making a pizza. That is so cool. Phantom Toast. I don't think I've, yeah. You are, like, the coolest person. I hope you know that. Like, look, I might be some big game designer or whatever else, but you're just a cool person, okay? I hope you know that. I hope you understand that. Cool. Okay, so that is not the part that falls apart. Where things fall apart is when we check the thing. So run. Okay. So we grab 3, 4. Okay. And then we check. What is the 1 temp supposed to be? Row 3, column 4. Oh. Okay. So it recognizes that it's looping back to where it started. So then, use a kill S. There we go. Okay. Well, that seems pretty reasonable. Okay. At which point it staples the next coordinate onto the list. Okay. So this doesn't seem to be wrong. Okay, so maybe we do... I'm going to comment this out temporarily. Let's reload. Oh, I think I see what's going on actually. Each time we run this, it re-updates the one temp. No, that shouldn't be affecting things. I mean, that's the whole point. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so anyways, execute as at end, tag equals move here, run function Collapsi, the legal moves, continue. Okay, so it identifies these as legal moves, and the scoreboards for these guys should be, for the distance, should be 2. Here, distance 2. Yay, okay. Well, that's good. That seems very reasonable. Okay. And then, so we're going to remove blah, blah, blah. Do we have nope. So then we just need to do that again. So we do it here, do that here. Okay. And then also we need to do the same kind of thing here. Hold up. Oh, it's removing things. Oh, because it's doing the thing. Crap, okay. Yeah, because even though it's doing execute as at E, that doesn't mean it's doing every single one simultaneously. Sneaky, sneaky. This is a much more fundamental problem than originally thought. Okay. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Okay, so it appears. Well, let's see if we can quickly fix this. So really, it's only a problem with the continue function. So we're going to introduce a new tag for current step. We're going to tag each of these as being the current step. Then we teleport to the grid. now we no longer need that. Because then, excuse me, because then we can delete the tag. And that localizes the current step to this particular run of this particular program. Remove current step. Okay. And then this part's still important because that's how you figure out that. That's how you figure out to like continue the movements, I guess. But for teleporting to the grid, we only need the current things that just got summoned just now. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. So we're going to execute as at detect run function Collapsi the legal moves start. Okay, let's check this. So how do we get to here? That'd be 1, 2, 3 loop around, 1, 2, 3 loop around, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, and I do believe that is all of them. Okay. Boom. Solved. Done. That was easy. Okay, cool. Okay. Collapsi with feature. There we go. Boop. I can now trust that this is in fact moving in all the possible moves are available. Okay. And then this is the point where we can't move. Yay! Let's play again. Okay, let's try to make use of the 4s. Hello? I would like to move to that 4, please. Thank you. Okay, so that's a good thing to know. It did not like that whatsoever. Oh boy, okay. And hold up. I gotta do a thing. Because I was running a program, running a Python program with Google Colab, so I need to re-download the files from this current 11-hour run. That's what I do. I run the program 11 hours at a time, because the free version of Google Colab allows you to do 12 hours, 12-hour runs. Let's just re-download all these files. Okay. Download there. And then download this guy. Come on. Before the 12-hour limit comes up and it immediately kills everything that I tried to do for these last 11 hours. That would really suck. There we go. Okay. Hey, Phantom Toast has their pizza. Yay! Okay. And the game Collapsi is now working. I think I need to put in some safeguards though. So everything there is all saved. Let's just make sure. Okay, excellent. Cool, okay. 12-hour time limit is no longer a danger. So what we just discovered with landing on the 4 there is that the game really doesn't like numbers bigger than 3. So, that means we need to do a thing. Okay. So we need to create a new document for end.mc function. And what we put at the end here is all the things that comes after we do this stuff here. Okay. And then we also gotta go card games Collapsi, run set block. At this point, I should just be planning this out, like this whole recursion limit stuff. Because really, it just ends up happening in every game thus far. Like I really should just be planning that. Sandstone. And then we do and then this we place that into a command block. But otherwise, we're going to do if the distance actually matches the max distance that we're supposed to be. Then we're going to run the function end. So we have the final filters. Okay. This is where we put function Collapsi and so we do, but we only do that if we reach the maximum distance that we're supposed to be. Okay, cool. And with this, we should now have a fully working game. So I'm going to label this command block here. Actually, nah, no need. Okay. We're going to save that. We're going to /reload, do one final test, and then things should work. Okay, cool. So this 2 handles that just fine. Okay. Ooh, now we can land on the 4. And apparently no legal moves. Now why is that? that's definitely not supposed to happen. So I guess 4 is just do the thing. But why? Okay. Coming up to the end of the stream, so we will have to figure this out after the stream, I suppose. And then, as far as actually playing the game, also this needs to have a sandstone paste. Like what part of this did not understand. That is very strange. Okay, Phantom Toast, if you could stick around for a little bit, I would love it if we could play some Collapsi together. And I'd love to also record a video of us playing Collapsi, because the inventor of Collapsi, this is amazing. So Collapsi was invented by another YouTuber named Riffle Shuffle and Roll, and I commented on their video saying, "Hey, I built this in Minecraft," and they said, "We send a video of playing it, of you playing this, of playing the Minecraft version." So, holy crap! The inventor of the game reached back out and said, "Hey, make a video." So, and Phantom, I would love it if we could, if you could join for that. One last little, but we do need to fix this problem before we make that video. So I need to figure out why this is happening and then fix it. So oh, because I guess it's only... I guess it's because it didn't run for all of them yet, but it only ran for like one of the paths and then it ends immediately. Okay, that's a problem. How do we tell when the... How do we tell when it's over? I guess... Okay. So this is doing that. Well, also because the one temp is already doing a lot of work. So I guess we can just do this. Okay. Okay. So then, so each time we hit, oh, but that's not gonna do. Okay, we need to figure out when we actually are supposed to end the path. wait a second. Each of those target entities, they're going to use the chain list thing, and the distance is just the length of that list minus 1, because the list is always going to contain the starting point. So we could just do that. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Okay. We're going to end the stream, and then Phantom Toast, we can hop on Discord and do some voice chat if you'd like. Once I fix this game up, we can play some Collapsi, and then, with your permission, of course, Phantom, you can be featured in a video that I'm going to be showing to the creator of Collapsi. How amazing is that? So, and then of course, Pandemic, coming soon. Or it's going to be a big project, but hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Bye.